cleaning out this smoker's lid a bit. So much resin stuck in there. I did this just now and it burned for almost 5 minutes. That's good, otherwise that little spout at the end gets blocked with time. It's a very sticky, resiny story in there, but now after burning it, it's kind of charcoaly. I think it's going to be extremely hot now. So I'm alone today. Tyler's cleaning a bit, and I'll just see if I can record a little bit of this by myself. Maybe what I'll do is I'll do a hive inspection and then just do like a little bit of an update of what I saw inside, or if I see something interesting, just switch on the camera and record what I'm seeing. This area has quite a lot of Port Jackson now, and what I've heard from some beekeepers is that the Port Jackson is not so beneficial for the South African bee, because the bees pollen, the legs, I should know it a bit better, but the legs are not designed for the big pollen size of the Port Jackson, so those little hooks on their legs can't catch onto the pollen. And there's so much pollen on these trees, but I'll show one of these trees a bit later, and there's no bees on them. Last year I saw that the bees were trying, but they were quite frustrated. So hopefully they are getting some food somewhere else, and we'll just open up 1 or 2 hives and check what they're busy with. Then I'll also have some frames here, some brood frames, so if I do see honey in the brood box, then I'll just remove that full honey frame and put a full wax sheet in for them, so that they've got more space to expand the brood spring, so they can expand a lot lekker. Yeah, let's see how it goes. And smoker is ready. I have some dry pine needles, a little piece of wood that I picked up. This lid's very warm, but it cannot go on now. Oh, okay, let me put that lid on with both hands. Okay, so this is the very first hive that I'm opening. It's the one with the entrance that's open all the way. It's got a very big entrance opening, so it's kind of experimental as well. And then last time this hive was full in the brood box and in the super, so we added like another deep in the middle. Yeah, we're quite experimental, we know. And it's exciting to see that. Look at the honey there. I only got one hand now, but look, it's honey. This frame's practically full of honey and pollen there in the bottom. And then I remember the queen was laying in these bottom bits, but it was drone comb, so they've been hatching or nurturing that drone, and we'll be able to see the larva there in the sun. Yeah, you see the larva, and then lekker honey at the top. So I'm just gonna open up here in the middle and see if they've started doing some comb over there, and then see if I can remove some honey in the brood box below. I'll just do an assessment and decide on the spot. So in some of my previous videos I've shown how I do let me put this down so that I can illustrate nicely how I do the triangular wax sheet. So basically this section over here was a wax sheet, and they've drawn it all out. They've built this as brand new. This wasn't wax sheet over here since it was triangular. And look at all that purple pollen. this is basically in 2 weeks they've done all of this and put honey in at the top. It's insane, I can't believe it. And this whole brood box looks like that. And just keep in mind that this brood box in the middle was added 2 weeks ago. And look at this. Look at how the queen was laying in here. So cool. Yeah, so I've got a lot of exciting things on my hands in this hive. Yeah, let me see what's going on in the bottom brood box. And something very exciting. Look at that pollen there. That I suspect is this poor Jackson pollen. And I'll look for another bee with some of it on the hind legs. I just saw some now. There's a drone. Where is it now? There's a drone's body sticking out. Look at how I was struggling to squeeze in where the females easily go in. There's some more poor Jackson pollen. So there was canola in the area 2 weeks ago, but those canola fields are all green now, no more pollen on them. So when I see this over there as well, over there, so very, yeah, it's interesting. We'll see in some of the other hives if we can confirm that it's poor Jackson. So I just noticed this damage to the woodwork in the hive. It's very clearly a thing that bore right through this wood, and I also saw like a big worm in the bottom of the brood box. This colony is quite strong, so I'm not going to stress about it, but I'm very curious to know what could bore that hole, what could damage like that. So if someone knows, look at the pollen, then please comment and let me know. I'll be happy. I'm gonna clean some of that residue off there with my hive tool so that the bees can propolis that hole. So done with this inspection. All the frames were partially full of brood, partially nectar or honey. Actually, they're making a lot of honey, so I'm just gonna let them be like this, and next weekend I'm gonna try and bring a super to put on top of them. Look at the pollen there. Some bee dropped its pollen there, and the other bees are trying to pick it up. Yeah, very cool hive. And these 3 hives also looking good. We put a super below this brood box, and it's called Nadir, Nadir. I've seen it on YouTube and wanted to try it out myself also to see what the results are. And in the top brood box I can see that they've added the extra comb at the top to try and use the space, and lots of honey. Look at how these bees are just gorging themselves. So I think what would happen here is that there would be maybe quite a bit of honey at the top, and the queen could maybe move down below to this super. Be interesting. So let's see. So this frame, as I tried to remove it, it's absolutely tired and mugh, and the corners just broke off. Same with this one, they're so soft. So it's got quite a bit of honey in here and nectar, honey on this side as well. So I'm gonna remove it, and I've placed in a brand new wax sheet for them here that'll probably fill up in 2 or 3 days if I look at the rate that they're working at. So I'm going to remove this frame on the side as well now and see if it's got honey or what's in it. Okay, so that frame over there was just partially drone comb and a lot of pollen, so I'm going to leave it for them for brood development. And then over here in the super below, it was just wax strips, and they've been building comb on it. I feel like this is a very natural way for the bees to expand downwards. If they had a natural nest, they would build the comb downwards, start at the top and build downwards from a roof or a cave or something. So it's experimental, and I'll see if I can compare the performance of the hives at the end of the season and learn something. See if I can keep the camera going while I check this middle frame in here. Okay, so this middle frame. I need 3 hands, a camera hand, a smoker hand, and a hive tool hand. Let's see if the queen has been laying in here. Okay, all of that purple pollen, this builds up this colony. I think 2 weeks from now a lot will be going on in here. I don't see any eggs on this frame though, so the queen is still at the top, which is good. I think what I'm gonna do in that case is swap the super and put it at the top again. Who knows? Just to give them space to put the honey. I think I'm gonna do that. Alright. Yeah, so I did decide to put the super at the top now, which means there's a little bit of a gap between the brood and the super. At the top it's hotter now, so maybe it will help with the hot air to rise to the honey where they're making honey, make it easier to evaporate that. And the brood box below, there'll be less hot in there with the sun directly on this hive. Let's see, next time I come I can decide to do something else with it again, or maybe take off the super and put a new super. Let's see. This is one of my strongest hives, and I expect to see quite a bit. This brood box below was added, I think, more than a month ago. At least more than a month ago. Then the super and the original brood box was full, and I was expecting them to expand down below. But let's see what they did. I'm excited to see. I think I might be able to take off that super at the top. It'd be quite exciting. Yeah, very exciting. This is what they're doing at the top here. Some of these super frames are almost fully capped, and over there as well. Very exciting. I think I'm gonna leave it and maybe come take it off next weekend, but let me check through the super a bit more and decide. This is so exciting. A full honey frame. I've never felt a super frame this heavy, and very exciting. So quite a few of them look like this. Yeah, I'm like a kid that got a present. It's very, very, very exciting. Yeah, and something else that's very interesting is 2 weeks ago there was just triangular wax sheets in this brood box again, and today it's fully drawn out comb. So very exciting to see what's going to be in here next weekend. Yeah, let me close them up. That's where the queen is living, in this middle brood box, and I haven't even touched that. I'm not opening it. Just wanted to see what's going on below down here, and there's fully drawn comb with lots of drones as well. So the queen was laying a bit in there, but just drones. Interesting. I'm gonna leave them like this for next weekend. Yeah, so this hive is also quite strong, and what we found here last time is some of the other hives were not looking as strong, but this one already had a full super, and we decided to add this empty super. I can't recall if it had wax strips or wax sheets in, but I think it's strips, with a full brood box. So exciting to see what they've been up to. If I look at the other hive that's filled up almost the brood box with full wax in 2 weeks, then I'm sure this super here might be full, and that one might be full of honey as well, but let's see. And then another interesting thing about this hive is that about a year ago I decided to drill a hole at the back, 20 or a 25 mil hole, and they've been using it, and I always left it open even through winter. So just yeah, this is the other, right at the back of this hive. The entrance is over there on the front, but on the sunny side, or the morning where it catches morning sun, I made this hole, and found that this hive has always performed quite well. So interesting. Let's see what they're doing inside. Okay, so very interesting. I was expecting to find honey at the top, and it's brood with eggs and empty drone comb frames that's drone over there. So I'll go see what's going on in that middle super in the brood box below and just give an update over here. Okay, so I found why the queen was laying up there. This super is still just wax strips, and they expanded too quickly in the brood box, and the queen didn't have anywhere to lay, so she crawled all the way through the empty space and laid in the super. Look at how full these frames are. Not a single space to lay an egg, with all the brood and pollen. Lots and lots of pollen. I found frames in here that's solid pollen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove that empty super over there, and I also brought with a full brood box with full wax sheets, so I'm gonna give that to them over here. But I'm gonna put, I'll put 5 of the frames in the top box, and 5 of these brood frames in one brood box, and 5 of the frames in the other brood box in the middle, so that they sit nicely above each other. I'm quickly going to fetch that and put it in here. Okay, so hopefully I didn't disturb this queen too much. That original brood box now has 3 full wax sheets, 5 frames of brood, 2 full wax sheets, and then I'm going to put this on top of them, 3 full wax sheets, 5 frames of brood, 2 full wax sheets. So quite excited to see what they're going to do with this. I think they're going to explode, because I just see such insane amounts of pollen. And then I'll put that super over there on top of them. Who knows? Let me take it off. I'll make a video when I've assembled them. Yeah, just a summary. This is what the Port Jacksons look like in this area. I haven't seen any bees work on the Port Jackson. Can't see bees on the trees. So it could be that they are working on some of it that I can't see. They're bringing in quite a lot of that purple flower. I don't see purple flower on this site, but it's close to a river, and I think those riverbeds are full of that purple flower that's called, a lot of people call it the Patterson's curse. And it's not a local plant. I think it's quite, it's invasive over here, but they're very beneficial for the bees, so we're quite happy about it. Seen a lot of that in the hive, lots of yellow pollen. It could be that it's not Port Jackson pollen, that they're finding it on something else with the yellow pollen, And then these pine trees over here are also making pollen, but as we know, pine is a very low, what do you call it, very low pollen quality, low protein for the bees. So I don't think they'll be working on the pine, since there's other resources in the area. But yeah, I'm done for the day. Got a big smile. I've seen my first full super since I started beekeeping. Very heavy frames. And I'm just going to be patient and leave it over here and see what I find here next time. Next month is October for us. October is very dry in this area. It's actually, in my first year of beekeeping, it's the lowest amount of nectar and pollen that I've seen in the hives. They were bone dry. So if I can stay patient, then I might just leave that full honey super for the bees through October and then harvest it in November if it's still left. Either way, it's very exciting, and after a difficult first year of beekeeping, I think everyone's first year is difficult. It's quite rewarding to see this on my site. So yeah, I'll update you when I come here again. Happy beekeeping.